boys, as we mentioned, we're over 200 days out, but it's never too early to take some pot shots in terms of who we think is going to win that national championship when we get to this point next season, which is crazy with the calendar because I guess apparently this time next year, like the national championship game hasn't even been will not have even been played, which is crazy in its own right. We're gonna pretend that that's not a thing. Brody, I can already see you getting triggered in real time by that realization.
We'll talk about that in a later episode, man.
But man, like I know we talked. I talked about Indiana earlier. I remember talking about like Notre Dame. But I think a team that I think really should be more considered as a front runner to win the national championship than what people realize. I really have my eyes set on Texas Tech. I really like what Texas Tech has done over the course of this offseason. You know, first and foremost, they're bringing back a like an experienced head coach in Joey McGuire that's going to learn from his mistakes that maybe he made in the in the preparation leading into the quarterfinal up against Oregon. We saw them bring in, a top five transfer portal class, this last offseason. This offseason, very much the same as well. Obviously headlined by Brandon Sorsby, who actually, in my opinion, I think is QB1 in this transfer portal class. I think he's better than Sam Levitt. I think he's better than Drew Messmaker because what Brandon Sorsby had to dealing with, the Big 12 level competition that's generally better than the American, with a coach that, Cincinnati fans would probably let you know probably isn't in the top half of head coaches in the Big 12. So, and it's a roster that typically is the second best roster on the field in Big 12 competition. And so for Sorsby to go out and ball out these last couple of years and now going to Texas Tech that does have those more resources, like I think Sorsby is going to really thrive, I think, in Joey McGuire's system, like in 2026. But he's certainly not alone. They brought in some really high-end talent as well. They brought in like Adam Trick, like the defensive end from Miami, who's an absolute stud. Mateen Aruba, the defensive lineman from Wake, Jordan Turch, interior offensive lineman to beef up in the trenches as well. They had the experience. I really love the idea of Texas Tech possibly hosting that national championship trophy like this time next year.
Go ahead, Reed.
Now, I agree with Jake. Notre Dame and Indiana are definitely in the conversation for me. I'm gonna go a little bold here, at least in my opinion. I think it's a little bold. Now I'm gonna say this also with the caveat: if they get their guy, Miami is going to be back in this conversation next year. If they get Mensah, along with Barkate, because you would assume Barkate's also going with Mensah. If they get Darian Mensah after this whole situation, Miami's going to be back in this conversation next year. They especially, offensively, they bring back Tony. They bring back a good chunk of their offensive line. Their defensive line is going to be stacked once again. Their secondary was vast improved from 2024 now into 2025. So I personally think Miami is definitely one to watch. If they get Mensah, I think they're an automatic contender. Another one that I put down, and this is just solely because of who is their head coach. It's got to be. I mean, Georgia's got to be in this conversation every single year.
Yes,
you can't turn your head away from Kirby Smart ever. So I mean, Georgia, I feel like a lot of people are still overlooking it at this moment, just solely because like a lot of the main players you think over the years with Georgia are now heading out the door. Like, these aren't your vintage Georgia names you've been accustomed to saying. It's a lot of new faces, a lot of younger faces. So I think Kirby Smart, especially the last few years, he probably has a fire lit under him. He hates seeing the Big Ten win 3 straight national championships. That should have been Georgia three-peat. Like, I feel like Kirby Smart pissed off is definitely not a coach in a Georgia team you want to see. So probably the two biggest standouts for me, Georgia and definitely taking a shot on Miami for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like all those, obviously. The teams that are around every year. I mean, you got Ohio State with 10 of 11 starters on offense returning with the best player in the country and the best DC out there. They're an easy pick just to be in the mix next year, obviously. I like talking about Oregon. You can always talk about Oregon at this point. Arguably, they could have the best QB in all of college football next year in Dante Moore. Dan Lanning, can't really bet against them. But my dark horse I'm looking at next year is South Carolina. I think their home field advantage is get out of here. Their home field, I'm a big Lenora Sellers guy. I haven't got a chance.
We did this last year.
We did this last year.
We did this last year.
I want to double down on it this year. You got to have a 9-3 SEC, 10-2 SEC team right there on the bubble, and I think South Carolina can be that team this year. And I don't know what their odds are, but it's got to be something ridiculous. Sellers Heisman's odds are plus 3,000. I mean, if I had to take a long shot, they'd probably be my long shot team right now. I hate saying this, but I think Michigan would be a long shot team for me as well. I'm a big Whittingham guy. I always have been. I'm kind of very upset they got him. I don't know, man, but I don't really think you can really go wrong with any of the teams, the major names we've listed: Texas, Ohio State, Texas Tech. I said it earlier. Texas Tech has to be the highest percentage-wise team to make the playoff in general, in my opinion. So,
yeah. So it's really interesting. So I actually have FanDuel pulled up on a different screen right now. So I got both the Heisman odds pulled up as well as the national championship odds pulled up because, of course, FanDuel has that stuff like ready to go already, even though like the ink hasn't even like fully dried on the 2025 season. But anyways, so right now, Lenora Sellers is listed with like plus 3,000 odds to win the Heisman Trophy, and that puts him as if I can do like the 14th best odds to win the Heisman Trophy. And then for the national title, I did find South Carolina on this list. It took me a little bit of scrolling, but those odds are plus 20,000 in terms of winning the national championship. That's
worth a sprinkle. That's worth a sprinkle.
$1.
It's worth like a scratch off ticket, man. But I do love the high end talent at South Carolina. Now I do think that Shane Beamer needs to do a better job of utilizing that talent because the fact that they were so porous, especially in that Texas A&M game, where they should have not lost that game under any circumstances, especially after taking a 30-3 lead. That should have never happened. Okay, that is, they assumed everything was going to be sweet after they took that big lead, and then they fell asleep at the wheel. Like those kind of mistakes can't happen moving forward. South Carolina, I mean, they still have quite a bit of NFL talent coming back next season. So, I mean, like from a high-end perspective, if Shane Beaver does what he needs to do and gets his team focused on a weekly basis, I mean, South Carolina is going to be a tough outlet. So it is bold. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, Reed almost left his house, but I mean, I can see the vision at the same time, though.
Brody,
you gotta believe, man. You gotta sprinkle some teams here and there. You're just gonna be like everyone else with the same 10 teams. And then when it gets flipped around, no one's mentioned LSU next year. I don't think they're going to make the playoff. So my bold prediction this past year was I had Texas plus 300 not to make the playoff. That was my bold prediction. I'm leaning towards LSU being that for me this coming year. I'm really close to pulling the trigger on that. I don't know if those odds are out yet, Jake, but if so, please read those off.
Yeah, so they do not have the the playoff odds specifically, but they definitely have like regular season win total odds out for LSU alongside Arkansas and Virginia Tech. Now, for the sake of Arkansas and Virginia Tech, we're not going to worry about them right this second because we're talking about the LSU at the moment, right? So their over/under is actually listed at 9.5. Regardless of the fact that they have a new coach and a new quarterback in there, with how deep the SEC is, even if we're talking about a team that like your Georgias of the world, right? Like 9.5 is a pretty aggressive number. So I mean that the playoff odds aren't out yet, but I mean like under 9.5. I mean that's just thinking about it early, like 10 wins as an SEC team. It's going to be tough to accomplish.
So I pulled up LSU's schedule. Obviously, opened the season against Clemson at home. Louisiana Tech. At Ole Miss, week 3. A&M at home. McNeese at home. At Kentucky. Kentucky loves their night games, so you'd have to assume. Mississippi State at home. At Auburn. Home against Bama. Home against Texas. At Tennessee and at Arkansas. Now I don't think the times haven't been announced yet, but the dates are set. So really, hardest stretch of the schedule: October 24th at Auburn, bye week, Bama at home, Texas at home, at Tennessee for LSU.
Yeah. I mean, it's I mean, there's going to be some tough games in there. I mean, that Ole Miss game. I mean, Lane Kiffin's going to have to really mentally prepare himself because that the boos are going to be horrendous. Looking at Ole Miss game like on September 19th, it's going to be appointment television for sure. But I mean, like you mentioned, like Texas A&M, that's going to be a tough game. Like at home, Mike Elko in year 3, that's a really good coach. Kentucky on the road. I mean, Kentucky, they're probably looking like an improved team. And then closing out the year, got Alabama, Texas, like Tennessee is going to be no slouch either. I mean, like I said, like 10 wins, it's going to be tough to get to 10 wins, man. It really is. But hey, that's the beautiful thing about college football. Like until we get into August, we get to a point where we spot the ball. I mean, everything is just hypothetical. Like all 136 teams hypothetically have a shot to make the college football playoff.
Now that I'm looking at these Heisman odds, I actually have a longer shot than Brody does for a dark horse.
Oh?
Give me the best G5 quarterback from this past season at plus 3,500. Give me Byron Brown of Auburn plus 3,500 to win the Heisman.
Got to win games in order to get Heisman, man. They're only going to win 5 games.
Bro, see, we had this conversation. We had this debate. Best G5 quarterback.
I'm not disagreeing, but they're going to be 5-7.
Man.
Well, right now everyone's undefeated though. Like
you got to believe.
Bought the ball.
You got to believe. My real pick, if just scrolling through the odds here, I'm not gonna lie. Jaden Mayava at plus 2,000. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's the 10th best odds. Jaden Mayava.
They have a rough schedule, I'm pretty sure, don't they? They play like everywhere. They're like Ohio State next year.
I know they go to Penn State. I can tell you that. That will definitely be the whiteout game.
All right, I gotta pull it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, cool.
And all of its glory right here.
Free ads.
Shout out to fbschedules.com, by the way.
Shout out the StubHub ad.
Heck yeah.
Yes, sir. But yeah, this is their schedule right now. They go on the road to Indiana. Now, if this was 3 years ago, like that's a cakewalk, and you're probably taking over that schedule. Like Indiana 2026, like that's going to be a tough ask. Penn State. I wonder if that's going to be a possible whiteout game.
Oh, for sure.
Penn State, like USC.
For sure.
Let's see what else on here on this schedule. Ohio State at home, Oregon at home, They have with Washington at home as well. So I mean, USC is definitely going to have some tough games. But to your point, though, there's multiple opportunities here to have Heisman moments.
Values
The value is definitely there. The biggest thing, it's not even obviously the big names on that schedule you have to keep an eye out for. The biggest thing for me is the schedule gets released next week, the actual dates. So the biggest travel, what's the travel factor here for USC? They have to go across the country to Penn State, Rutgers, halfway across the country to Wisconsin and Indiana, and then they get to play UCLA in their backyard. So travel dynamics could be a big factor here. But I mean, Jada Mayava was one of the most productive quarterbacks last year. So, and I think Lincoln Riley's got something cooking in LA.
Yeah. Although I know, like you mentioned, like talking about the G5 earlier. What I will say, definitely something that's been on my mind, especially the last 24 hours. A team that I'm really curious about moving forward, in terms of making the college football playoff. East Carolina. I think East Carolina. I think there is something brewing down there. First and foremost, they do have the benefit of playing in the American. We saw how the committee views the American in comparison to some of these other G5 conferences. We'll see how the Pac-12 is perceived. They have the better name brand than the American. But at the same time, though, we've seen how much benefits out the American conference teams have gotten compared to some of these other G5 teams from other conferences. I really also like the resiliency of this team as well. I love their head coach, knowing how to win games. Right, East Carolina in the bowl game against Pitt, they didn't have their starting quarterback. They were missing half of their starters offensively, and they were still able to find a way to win that game. Plus, defensively, they play extremely tough in the trenches. They gave Tulane a really tough time, and they gave some of these other top tier American Conference teams a really tough time as well. They just maybe need one more year to go over that hump. So, you want to talk about maybe a dark horse contender to represent the G5 in the college football playoff. I'm really looking at East Carolina, to be honest with you. I'm a huge Pirates guy.
My G5 right now I would just have to go easy and stick with UNLV and Dan Mullen. I mean, they were super close this year, just a couple plays away, really, and just they got the money out there, they got the coach to do it. The Mountain West isn't too much to ask for. You got to deal with Boise State, and that's about it. I think Hawaii will have a pretty good team next year. They're always the last team on Saturday night, and you're about 20 beers deep. You might as well throw some cash on them. So you got to have something on the TV, man. But UNLV is that team for me right now, and I think with that offense and having Dan Mullen, they'll always have a chance. So
Brody took the words right out of my mouth. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Micah Alahado at quarterback with Timmy Chang. Yeah, Hawaii for sure.
They got the kickers.
Yes, Japanese kicker, and they were one of the most productive offenses last year, and no one talked about them because they're the furthest state away. They're the last game of the day. They are one of the most prolific offenses from last season. Just want to throw it out there. And one of the best defenses in their conference, San Diego State. They beat them 38-6 and beat Cal in their bowl game. Granted, it was in Hawaii, but still ended up beating Cal in their bowl game, which is a huge momentum push going into this year. So definitely the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors for sure. My G5 pick at the moment.
Yeah, and hopefully, I hope people this coming year pay more attention to Hawaii. I know it's tough for them to get more national attention just because of where they are in the country. And we've talked about the fabled Hawaii test, right? In terms of games always kicking off seemingly 11 o'clock at night, or you get the rare midnight kickoff as well for Hawaii. So I know it's tough for them to get any attention. But yeah, like I mean, Micah Alhada, you know, I will never say a bad word about him. He has helped me out tremendously in college fantasy football. He was my quarterback. And, you know, Micah Alhada, he won me a lot of games as my quarterback. So you know, not a bad word that I can say about that man right there. I'll tell you what.
October 10th at Arizona State.
Listen, I mean, that's going to be a game where, like, is defense going to exist in that game? Probably not. But I mean, it's going to be we're going to have a great time with it. That's for sure. Appointment television, to say the least. But all right, everybody. We had an incredible very first live show ever in the history of college football Red Zone. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off here for tonight. We'll be on Monday. So the plan for this period, I don't like to say the off season too much, this non-football playing season, I think that's something I can get behind a little bit more. Definitely a lot to talk about. So Mondays and Thursdays is when we plan on being on during this non-football playing time. And then we're going to ramp it up as we get into August, September, October, etc. But Mondays, during this time, Monday is going to be mailbag. So let us know either in the live chat or in the comment section, like any burning questions you guys have, so that we can answer them during the Monday live show. But with that being said, I'm your host, Jake. I'm joined by Brody of College Football Only, as well as my right-hand man, Reed Napper. Hope you guys are all out there having a good night. Take care, everybody.